Hello, good evening, Assalamu alaikum, and welcome to Vantage Developers Presents Game On Hai. We are back with our pre-match show. It's match number 41 of the ICC Men's T20 World Cup 2024. Before we start our build-up for this exciting match, एक reminder हम सबको दे दे, the Super 8s are here, and we can't wait to see what the battles will look like. We saw all of the build up till this point. हमने group stage में सब teams को देखा हमने सामने. Some of the senior established teams, veterans have been knocked out. Some of the associate teams have pulled up a great fight. And look at these two groups. In group 1 we have Afghanistan, Australia, Bangladesh and India. And in group 2 we have England, South Africa, USA and West Indies. We will be seeing two of these teams play today. South Africa versus USA. What should have been Pakistan, अगर हम बात करें groupings वगैरह की, we should have seen Pakistan qualify, but unfortunately that is not the case. USA have made a case for themselves, and I've got with me my beautiful co-host Erin Holland to unpack everything as we go towards that first Super 8 game. Erin, welcome back to Game On Hai, looking beautiful as always. How excited are you? We're finally at that point now where we can look at every game, because each game now matters so much in the context of the Super 8s, and going forward I think these 8 teams have put up a great case for themselves.
Bahut shukriya for the lovely introduction as always. Yeah, Super 8's time, very exciting. I think we're all a bit devastated we're not seeing Pakistan play. They were given the A2 seeding heading into this competition before it started in the hope that this would be their first Super 8 game in prime Pakistan time, but alas, it wasn't meant to be. But can the USA, the Giant Slayers, do it one more time against South Africa? Let's find out, shall we?
Let's go to our guest panel who are also here to help us understand what will happen in this game, and especially going forward. Can we dare to predict and analyze, because so far it's all been so unpredictable, so crazy, but then that's the beauty of the T20 format. And speaking of T20 formats and speaking of explosion at the top order, we've got all the way from New Zealand Martin Guptill, who is looking great as usual in his desi attire. Mari, welcome back.
Thank you very much.
Great to have you as always.
Nice
Unke saath ji, of course, Pakistan ke World Cup winning captain. He needs no introduction. Numerous runs across formats for Pakistan, and now he's back on your TV screens on Game On Hai. Assalamu alaikum, Yunus Khan. Welcome back.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Great to have you as always. And rounding up our panel is the all-rounder, the professor, as we know and love him. And his contributions have also been invaluable, and he continues to add more feathers to his cap. All-rounder Mohammad Hafiz, welcome back to Game On Hai. Pleasure to have you. I hope your Eid went great. We're still
very relaxing, thank you.
Very relaxing. Aaphi?
नहीं बिल्कुल अच्छी रही.
Good.
और
In good spirits.
बहुत ज़बरदस्त स्पिरिट रही, और जैसे कुर्बानी का आपको पता है गोश्त भी खाने को मिल गया तो अच्छा रहा.
चले हमारे लिए भी आपको लाना चाहिए था ना थोड़ा सा. फिर ब्रेक में हम भी थोड़ा
बस कुछ करते हैं इंशाल्लाह. अभी भी स्टिल ईद है, अभी आज भी ईद है.
आज भी ईद है जी, बिल्कुल. The Eid festivities continue, Erin, but let's start with the festivities of the Group 8 stage, Mari, the Super 8 stage. These teams have fought, and all of these teams haven't had a straightforward journey. I mean, every team has had their own ups and downs, their own stories to tell. But what are you most excited for in terms of the level of competition and the quality of games that we can now expect, since the whole tournament has now officially moved to the Caribbean?
I think one of the biggest things I'm looking forward to is seeing how the USA go. They've never been in this position before in sort of knockout cricket, and against such such the opposition that they're coming against. There's world class. So I'm looking forward to seeing how they go, and if they can push these these teams that are supposed to be the best in the world. I'm really looking forward to seeing them. And just some higher scores, hopefully. We're out of the USA where the pitch is a little bit dicey. Yeah. Away from the weather that was in Miami, so I'm hoping that we can get a few more high scores. There's been a few so far down there in the Caribbean, so fingers crossed that we get some exciting cricket and a few more high scores, I reckon. Yeah. A few more sixes maybe.
I mean, it takes a lot to win a World Cup campaign. It's all about who adapts the quickest, particularly in the conditions that we've seen already thus far. Looks like an absolutely beautiful day over in Antigua. A cover's going on, I'm not sure why that is. It does look like it's very bright and sunny, but the weather report does say that it's supposed to be wonderful conditions for playing today. Hopefully just a tiny little tropical shower making its way over in the early hours of the morning. But the resets now there at Super 8s. How the Super 8s work is in those two pools that you've seen, you each play each other once through and then you get your semi-finalists from there. So Eunice, it's time to reset. You've gotten through the first round, but now you have to go again. As a captain, how did you reset when it came time for the Super 8s or that knockout phase in your T20 World Cup campaign? What changes for you as a leader?
As a captain, if I know that I have a tough situation and tough condition and, you know, up and downs in the first round. So for me as a captain, we can learn from that mistakes we were doing in the first session, in the first round. So I think it is more important that all the players now get together and they think about how to win these 2 or 3 games and then qualify for the semi-finals, because it is very close. You win the trophy, the 2 games, 3 games, and then that big game. If I'm a South African captain, for me that semi-final is very crucial for me. So I think it's all about, you know, the senior guys and especially the young guys, the dominator, they come and play for their team and play for according to the situation as well.
So much to play for. You can almost taste it now. Once you get through, all of a sudden that semi-final seems like a reality. That final seems like a reality. And Hafiz, most importantly now, it's an even playing field because all the games are in the Caribbean. So we've got similar kind of situations, similar wickets, similar conditions for all of the teams to play now. Looking at that Super 8, who do you have your eye on based on these conditions that you've seen?
Well, first of all, I don't think so the condition will be very suitable for the batting. It's going to remain the same because the Caribbean pitches mostly will be dicey. They will ask a lot of questions from the batsmen. So it will not be a high runs encounters in most of the games. So mostly you will see spinner will dominate and even uneven bounce will be for both the teams. So let's see which bowling will be basically put the more impact in at this stage, because I believe at the moment whatever team qualified, they deserve to be there for sure, and now they have to have another competition to play with, because you cannot think about, yes, we had a great success in a group stage, but if you carried away even a one game, you can be out of the tournament, because again the new system will come into play, the new points will come into play, net run rate again can challenge you.
Total reset.
So I personally feel like everyone has to start their campaign once again with this same mindset, like you have to take each and every opportunity in a best possible way, where you have to compete, you have to win the game, and also keeping the net run rate margin higher. So whoever will make a mistake can feel it later.
You've climbed the mountain and now you've got to go back to the beginning, clean slate, and start the climb all over again, Roha.
Right, and the margins of errors will shrink all that much in this very important stage. We were talking about runs, and of course we're hoping we will get to see more and more runs now, but the professor said it will not change that much. So don't count on it, don't count on seeing those big scores in every game. लेकिन आज की जो गेम है, today's game is taking place in Antigua. We know a little bit about that ground in terms of the runs scored. South Africa and USA will be playing their first Super 8 match in Antigua, and as far as the runs go on that venue, gentlemen, it has been on the higher side compared to the other venues that we have seen in this tournament. If we could take a look at their stats as well, an average of 8.14 is what we can expect from this ground. Professor, continuing वही जो आप बात कर रहे थे कि शायद अक्रॉस कैरिबियन हम ना ये अप्लाई कर सके, लेकिन आज जिस वेन्यू पे मैच खेला जा रहा है वहाँ का जो अभी तक रन रेट जा रहा है, it is a little bit on the higher side. How can teams South Africa and USA exploit this? क्योंकि South Africa so far have been struggling with their batting. उनके जो top order batters हैं, they're not firing in this World Cup, and a lot of South Africa's winning strategy revolves around those top order batters. What can they do here in Antigua?
देखें, दो ग्राउंड्स अगर आप इनको कंपेयर करेंगे ना बाकी कैरिबियन की ग्राउंड के साथ, एक ग्रॉस आइलैंड जो है जो बेसिकली सेंट लूसिया है और दूसरा एंटीगा, ये दो आपको मैक्सिमम अपॉर्चुनिटी प्रोवाइड करता है कि आप एज ए बैट्समैन अच्छे बड़े रन्स लगा सकें. अगर आप सेंट विंसेंट में जाएंगे तो आप ना सोचें कि वहाँ पे 190 या 200 वाला पिच मिलेगा. अगर आप गयाना इस वक्त खेल रहे हैं या बारबाडोस खेल रहे हैं, अनइवन वहाँ पे आपको बाउंस मिल सकता है. तो रिमेंबर, कुछ ग्राउंड्स हैं जहाँ पे आप अपना मैक्सिमम एज ए बैटिंग यूनिट डिस्प्ले हाईएस्ट लेवल पे कर सकते हैं. मोस्टली यहाँ पे जो फास्ट बॉलिंग और जो स्पिन ओरिएंटेड पिचेस हैं वो आपको मिलती हैं। फास्ट बॉलिंग इसलिए कि जहाँ पे अनइवन बाउंस आता है वहाँ पे फास्ट बॉलिंग मुश्किल हो जाती है। तो मुझे लगता है कि ओवरऑल साउथ अफ्रीका इज़ अ बेटर टीम टुडे। उनकी टीम के अंदर उनकी जो बैटिंग की फायर पावर है वो कहीं पे भी नहीं गई, वो आज भी वहीं पे है, लेकिन उनको मुश्किल वेन्यूज़ मिले। न्यूयॉर्क के अंदर उन्होंने मैचेस खेले जो कि बहुत मुश्किल थे बैटिंग के लिए। मुझे लगता है कि उनका देखना यह है कि एज ए प्लेयर आप कितने ज़्यादा पीछे भूल के अगले इनकाउंटर्स के लिए रेडी होते हैं, क्योंकि एज ए प्लेयर इट्स वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट टू फॉरगेट व्हाट हैपेंड इन योर लास्ट इनिंग। इट कुड बी 100, इट कुड बी 0, इट कुड बी अनइवन बाउंस, इट कुड बी अ बेल्टर पिच, बट सो यू हैव टू अंडरस्टैंड कि अब जो मैच आ रहा है इस पिच को असेस करें। मुझे लगता है कि उनकी फायर पावर है। क्विंटन डी कॉक वुड लव टू बैट ऑन दीज ट्रैक्स। अगर मैं हेनरी क्लासन की बात करूं तो वो एक ऐसे प्लेयर हैं जो चाहेंगे कि थोड़े बैटिंग फ्रेंडली भी मुझे मिले या कोई ऐसी रेंज ऑफ शॉट मैं दिखा सकूं जिसके लिए वो फेमस हैं। किलर मिलर हम सब जानते हैं कि वो कंडीशन के मोहताज नहीं है। अब देखना ये कि इनकी फायर पावर इस पिच पे कैसे ऑपरेट करती है, क्योंकि देखें यूएस बहुत शानदार टीम है, उन्होंने बहुत अच्छी क्रिकेट खेली, लेकिन दे आर नॉट द वर्ल्ड बीटर। तो उनके खिलाफ खेलते हुए ऑब्वियसली ये अपना पैडल बिल्कुल नहीं उठा सकते, क्योंकि इनको ये मैच जीतना भी है और नेट रन रेट भी जीतना है।
बिल्कुल।
तो इसलिए मुझे लगता है कि ज़्यादा प्रेशर होगा साउथ अफ्रीका पे कि उन्होंने 2 तरह के मैच जीतने की कोशिश
और उनके लास्ट जो 2-3 मैचेस से बहुत वो क्लोज भी गए हैं। बट मार्टिन, जस्ट योर क्विक कमेंट ऑन this venue as well and what we can expect. Hafiz talked about South Africa's batters and what they can do, but USA as well, they have shown what they can do with the bat. Aaron Jones, Monang Patel, some of their key players. We saw them pulling that against Canada in the first match as well. What can we expect in terms of runs from the USA?
Well, they do heavily rely on Aaron Jones, and let's not forget that the middle to lower order haven't really had an opportunity in this tournament as yet. So, look out for the likes of Corey Anderson to step up, Harmeet Singh to have a little dip at the end of the innings as well. But I think it starts at the top. They've got to get off to a good start so that these guys can actually come in through the middle of the innings and actually showcase their skills. I think everybody's excited to see what they can produce, and what better team to do it against than South Africa. I mean, their bowlers have been flying, and if they can get off to a good start and give a solid platform for the guys that can hit the big towards the end of the innings, anything can sort of happen in this game. So I really want to see USA do really well tonight.
Key players though for South Africa, you think about the spin-friendly conditions in the Caribbean. Heinrich Klaasen's the best player of spin in the world at the moment. Just what he could do in these conditions could be very damaging, and no doubt USA, they're very well planned behind Stuart Law, their Australian coach. He'll be looking at ways to try and neutralise how damaging that Proteas batting lineup can be. But Yunus Khan, I'm going to come to you because as a captain, the toss was always your first responsibility of the day. And if we take a little look at what's been happening in terms of the toss in this edition of the T20 World Cup, well, of the 37 matches where we've had a toss, we have had 3 complete washouts. 1 by team winning the toss is 20, 1 by teams losing toss 16. So not much in it in terms of whether or not you win or lose that toss. But interestingly, teams opting to field first, 31 times out of games, the team opted to field first, but they only won 18 of those matches. So we can see in the statistics, it doesn't actually matter probably whether you win or lose the toss, but is it because people were so concerned about the unknown of these conditions that made them want to always bowl first? You and Hafiz have often said to each other, why are they not batting first and taking the game by the scruff of the neck? What are your reactions to seeing this? Are you surprised?
I think it is a mindset. We saw this in a couple of matches ago that captains win the toss and elected to ball first, and then they lose the game by very easy margin. So I think it's all depend on your mentality, and sometimes you think that we are good on chase. So, but if you see here that out of 37 matches, there is no much difference, the winning and the losing ratio. So I think it's all about the mentality. And for me, look, South Africa and US. If South Africa win the toss and elected to ball first again, they already know that our batting is not clicking. So why not you give a good chance to your batter? Just go there and play with your free mind, and you just execute your shots. Why your batting is already under pressure, so why you give more pressure to them? So I think it's all about the mentality, and if there's raining effect game, that is okay, you can chase. But for me, winning toss, good condition, don't think about what will be happen after the first inning. Just go there and execute your skills, execute your shots. So it's very simple like that.
Captain Yunus wants scoreboard pressure. Roha? put runs on the board, big runs, and then back your bowlers to defend it.
Never underestimate scoreboard pressure. We have seen what Afghanistan have done, in the recent past. But we will get to more of those teams and what to expect from them in these conditions. Some of these conditions will still be challenging for some teams. We talked about South Africa and what they have been struggling in this tournament. Professor, South Africa's journey so far to this point has not been very easy for them, not very convincing, except for that first game maybe. अगर आप उनकी journey to Super 8 देखें, उनके 3 matches out of 4, 3 of their games have been played in New York, so you can see why the batters were a bit challenged. But that last game against Nepal, it could have gone either way. I mean, credit to Nepal the way they fought in that game. But आपको अब इस मैच के लिए किस तैयारी के साथ आपको लगता है साउथ अफ्रीका को अप्रोच करना चाहिए? लास्ट मैच में ऑफ कोर्स दिन तबरेज़ शम्सी वाज ब्रॉट बैक इन महाराज की जगह पे. डू यू थिंक आज भी वो कुछ सिमिलर करेंगे या महाराज वापस आएंगे? वील टॉक अबाउट द प्लेइंग 11 आल्सो इन डिटेल, बट some words on what South Africa can do different in this match.
Well, I think so far, if you see the journey of South Africa, they had the most right way to reach to this stage, because sometimes when these encounters which can go either way, and you make yourself available to winning that games, you work hard to win that game, it basically gives you a lot of confidence. So I think at the moment अगर आप मुझसे पूछेंगे तो South Africa is a more threatening team to anyone, क्योंकि उनके वो जो स्ट्रगल है जीतने मैच जीतने के, वो जो स्मॉल इनकाउंटर या स्मॉल पैचेस या स्मॉल मोमेंट्स की हम बात करते हैं, दैट एज ए टीम इफ यू विन दो स्मॉल मार्जिन्स you basically become more lethal to the other opposition. So I think at the moment South Africa must be mentally very strong. They must be have taken all the calculation into play, because as a team जब आप इस तरह की चीज़ों से overcome करते हैं तो आप ज़्यादा mentally strong होते हैं. तो इसलिए मुझे लगता है कि साउथ अफ्रीका की ये वाली जो स्ट्रगल है जिसमें 1 रन से मैच जीतना, आखिरी ओवर में 12 रन बचा लेना महाराज के, या नेपाल वाला जो मैच इन्होंने जीता आखिरी रन के ऊपर, तो ये ऐसे मैच होते हैं जो एज ए टीम आपको बहुत ज़्यादा कॉन्फिडेंस देते हैं, मोरल बूस्टर.
एंड दे नीड दैट कॉन्फिडेंस बिकॉज़ दे हैव बीन मोर ऑफन दे हैव बीन टैग्ड एज द टीम दैट समथिंग हैपेंस टू देम.
मैं इसलिए कहना चाह रहा हूँ कि इस वक्त अगर इनकी जर्नी को मैं देखूँ तो ये थ्रेटनिंग होगा फॉर ऑल द टीम्स, बिकॉज इन्होंने हार और जीत का वो जो स्मॉल मार्जिन होता है उसको चख लिया, उसको टेस्ट कर लिया है. सो नाउ आफ्टर गेटिंग दैट डन, अब आगे आके जिस तरीके से इनकी प्रोग्रेस होनी चाहिए मैं वो देखना चाहूँगा. दे शुड बी मोर कॉन्फिडेंट बिकॉज दे हैव सीन ऑल दो स्ट्रगल्स ड्यूरिंग दैट जर्नी. तो इस वक्त मुझे लगता है कि साउथ अफ्रीका की बैटिंग, बॉलिंग, फील्डिंग एज ए टीम इन टोटल दे मस्ट बी इन अ वेरी गुड शेप.
Absolutely. And if we take a little look at their opponents in USA, well, we took this T20 World Cup to America because we wanted to grow the game in the States, and I don't think anyone would have expected that underdog of the story was going to be USA. Look at their journey in this T20 World Cup for 2024, starting with a massive win over Canada. They chased down 195 to win by 7 wickets in Dallas. They follow it up with a thrilling super over win against Pakistan, which was completely unprecedented. No one ever thought that that would happen. They tested India in New York, it has to be said. It wasn't all their way, even though they did lose by 7 wickets. They really tested the men in blue. A wonderful performance to challenge them, give them a few scares within that run chase, and then a no result against Ireland, which I think we all would have loved to have seen, not only to give Pakistan a chance to qualify, but just to see where they really do stack up in a different conditions, that game being in Florida, Marty. But it's just been the most incredibly unprecedented story of an underdog taking an opportunity, making good of it. They feel like a side that's really well prepared, really well researched, and for a side that hasn't had a lot of international experience, they've stacked up so well against the heavyweights of the competition. How impressed have you been with the rise of USA?
It's been really good to watch. They started off really well and actually gave themselves an opportunity to get into the tournament and to qualify for the next round, which I think we can all safely say that Pakistan didn't start as quickly as they wanted to. They were behind the 8 ball from the first game where they lost, and then they couldn't pull it back from there. And what USA did is they gave themselves a chance. They had a washout at the end, which was fortunate for them, and just needed that 1 point to get through, and that's what happened. And I mean, you can't take it away from them. They've qualified. They've played really good cricket to get there. They did push India really well and gave them a good fight. But now the real cricket starts. You know, they got to this point. It's like, you know, you climbing Everest, you reach base camp, and then the real climb then starts. So I'm really excited to see how they go. I mean, I think they've got some exciting cricketers to showcase their skills, and I just want them to, you know, play their best cricket and see what happens. I mean, you can't fault the way they've played so far, so keep going.
Yeah, they absolutely earned their place in there, and they did the last game against India that they did contest without their captain, Monak Patel. He had a shoulder injury. He's obviously had a little bit of time to rest now with that washout against Ireland. So he will be back in the side, which further strengthens what USA have to offer on this particular wicket today. Hafiz, if you look at these two sides, the story of USA and what they've managed to do, I don't think anyone expected that they would kick Pakistan out of the competition, but they would end up being in this Super 8 altogether.
Yeah.
Is this what this T20 World Cup was all about? You know, giving these associate nations time to shine?
Well, obviously, I think it's an even opportunity to all the teams. Yes, someone can say they are hard done by the weather, but the weather wasn't in control even for these teams also. So I personally believe whoever played best cricket in that group stage, they basically deserve to be here. So we should not discuss about anyone. Like if New Zealand went out of this tournament, Pakistan couldn't make themselves, to the next round. Even Sri Lanka. So they never played good cricket, I believe. So personally, there should not be any question mark on the journey they had so far. And let's, as Martin said, it's a time to reset themselves once again. Or obviously, the real journey starts now. Because whatever happened in the group stage, maybe some team took pressure rightly and some couldn't deal that pressure. But at the moment, it's all about execution at this level and go to the next Super 4, which is obviously a semi-final. So whoever will take these 3 games positively and play well will be a great journey for them.
The way that the T20 World Cup started as well, when America started winning those games, all of a sudden, all the American press was going, oh, what's this cricket thing? Oh, we're doing very well. Oh, we beat a really good team. And they've jumped on the bandwagon, and you've seen the crowds have grown more and more across all of the sides that have been competing. Cricket's spreading throughout the US, which is exactly what this was all about. And one of my favourite things is seeing Netravalka, who obviously has a full-time job outside of cricket, now actually asking for extra leave from his job because obviously he never thought in a million years, I don't think, that they'd be extending past the round stages to get to Super 8. So he's not coming back to work anytime soon, unfortunately. Some paid leave coming your way, hopefully, Netravalka. But, you know, you've given us a wonderful underdog story. We're a bit devastated it was at the expense of Pakistan. But this is T20 cricket. Anything can happen. And this World Cup has been out of this world. Plenty more to unpack, though, as we look ahead to the first clash of the Super 8s, USA taking on South Africa all the way over in Antigua. We're off to a very short break here on Vantage Developers Presents Game on Hey. See you all in just a few moments.
Welcome back to Vantage Developers Presents Game On Here. We're building up to South Africa versus USA, the first match of the Super 8 in the ICC Men's T20 World Cup 2024. Break se pehle, of course, we were taking a look at both the teams and how soon they got to the Super 8, how their journeys were. And of course, we were building up to each team's strengths and what to expect in terms of conditions, because ab World Cup move ho chuka hai Caribbean mein. So we're very excited to see those big runs being scored, Erin. So fingers crossed on that. But Antigua, we're looking at you. Give us those big boundaries, give us those 200 plus scores and some exciting run chases as well. Moving on towards once again South Africa, और यूनुस उनकी जो जर्नीज रही हैं अभी तक जितने भी वर्ल्ड कप्स खेले हैं, बहुत कम ऐसा होता है कि स्टार्टिंग अ वर्ल्ड कप साउथ अफ्रीका ऑन पेपर वीक नज़र आए. अक्सर उनके पास वो मैच विनर्स ऑन पेपर होते हैं, तभी लोग इतने कंफ्यूज होते हैं इस टीम को फॉलो करते हुए, एनालाइज करते हुए कि goes wrong with them when they are competing in these World Cups. And often, अभी हमने last 50 over World Cup में भी ये देखा, they were unbeaten. उनका एक रन चल रहा था, अक्सर वर्ल्ड कप्स में रन चलते हैं उनके, और जो बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट सेमीफाइनल या फाइनल में आके वो नहीं, उनको कुछ हो जाता है प्रेशर में आके. इंटरेस्टिंगली सुपर 8 का जो रिकॉर्ड है साउथ अफ्रीका का, वो बड़ा अच्छा है,
बहुत अमेजिंग है अभी तक.
सही रहते हैं ये सुपर 8 में इनको, क्योंकि ये जो टाइम होता है इनका, आप अपनी स्क्रीन पे देख सकते हैं कि 55% इनकी विन परसेंटेज है जब ये इस स्टेज ऑफ वर्ल्ड कप्स में compete करते हैं. T20 की अगर हम बात करें तो आई थिंक ऐसी टीम, जब आप बाकी टीम्स को पीछे छोड़ के यूनस आते हैं, एज अ टीम आपको कितना कॉन्फिडेंस मिलता है, बिकॉज साउथ अफ्रीका के पास वो एक्सपीरियंस भी है, दे नो व्हाट प्रेशर लुक्स लाइक, एंड स्पेशली एट दिस स्टेज वेयर दे आर नाउ अनबीटेबल.
बिल्कुल. अगर मैं यहाँ इनकी इस जर्नी की बात करूँ तो ठीक है, पॉइंट्स टेबल पे तो वो ऊपर ही नज़र आ रहे हैं, लेकिन जिस तरह वो मैचेस खेले हैं, जैसे अभी हमारे पैनल ने यहाँ मेंशन भी किया कि इस दफ़ा वैसा नहीं है, क्योंकि पहले मैच से लेके फिर दूसरे में, ख़ास तौर जो 2 मैच खेले हैं अगेंस्ट एक बांग्लादेश और एक नेपाल के, वो बहुत ज़्यादा ऐसा था कि उनके सारे नर्व्स टेस्ट हो गए. अब उनको सिर्फ यहाँ से करना क्या है, देखिए उनके पास कल्सन और मिलर जैसे एक 2 जो है ना हार्ड हिटर बैटर्स मौजूद है. उनके लिए हो क्या रहा है कि उनके लिए वो जब आते हैं तो टीम फंसी होती है, 3 से 4 आउट हुए होते हैं, तो उनको वो जो कहते हैं ना फ्री माइंड से वो स्टेज नहीं मिल रहा. तो मेरे ख्याल से देखें, अब उनको करना सिर्फ ये है कि चाहे वो बैट करें चाहे वो बॉल करें, लेकिन उनको वो सेट करके कुछ देना है ताकि वो अपने आप को एक्सप्रेस कर सके. और सो फार जर्नी की बात करें तो जितने उनके प्रेशर के मैच हो गए, तो मुझे लगता है कि वो जब वो सेमीफाइनल में पहुंचेंगे तो वो उन पे वो प्रेशर नहीं रहेगा. लेकिन उनके पास, हमें पता है कि उनके पास ड्यू है उनकी तरफ से परफॉर्मेंसेस करना, उनके टॉप ऑर्डर्स की तरफ से, ख़ास तौर पे जैसे क्विंटन डिकॉक की हम बात कर रहे हैं, उनसे बहुत ज़्यादा एक्सपेक्टेशन है. उनको थोड़ा सा, जैसे हम विराट कोहली की बात कर रहे हैं कि ठीक है इस फॉर्मेट में आपके पास टाइम नहीं है, लेकिन फिर आपके पास फॉर सेम टाइम भी होता है, इसलिए कि जब आप आते हो पावर प्ले में खेलते हो तो 36 बॉल्स जो हैं उसमें आप ऑन द डे को 36 बाउंड्रियाँ तो नहीं कर सकते हो, तो उसके लिए उनको थोड़ा सा अपना टाइम दो. मैं ये नहीं कह रहा हूँ कि ठीक है वो 36 की 36 बॉल ले ले, लेकिन 5, 6, 7, 8 बॉलें अपने आप को दें और फिर अपनी शॉट की एग्जीक्यूशन करें, क्योंकि टॉप के प्लेयर आप कब बनते हो, जब आप एडॉप्टेशन करते हो. तो मेरे ख्याल से उनके पास ऐसे मैच विनर्स मौजूद है कि वो आगे प्रोग्रेस. उनकी बॉलिंग की बात करें तो वो उनकी बॉलिंग ने करके दे दिया, बड़े स्मार्टली उनको नोकिया को वो यूज़ कर रहे हैं, जो कि बाकी टीम्स भी करेंगे. जब वो अराउंड 10 ओवर्स के में आते हैं तो वहाँ पर जब उनका स्पेल होता है वहाँ पे एक्सप्रेस पेस मिले, मे भी यहाँ वेस्ट इंडीज़ में उनको वैसी पेस ना मिले, लेकिन जब 140 प्लस पे बॉल हो रहा होता है तो बैटर्स के लिए शॉट की एग्जीक्यूशन करना इतना इजी नहीं है. उनकी फील्डिंग देख लें, उनके पास वो सारे इंग्रेडिएंट्स मौजूद हैं, उनके स्पिनर्स मौजूद हैं जो कि इस फॉर्मेट में बहुत रेगुलर खेलते हैं. तो मेरे ख्याल से मुझे लगता है कि उनको टॉप 4 में जाना चाहिए और अपने लर्न करें. अब सिर्फ उनको एक मैच, ठीक है अभी उनके लिए इतना आसान नहीं होगा, अभी उनको जाना है सेमीफाइनल तक, लेकिन अब उनको ये आज से इस मैच से उन्होंने अपने माइंड को प्रिपेयर करना है कि हम जब सेमीफाइनल में आएंगे तो हम सेमीफाइनल से आगे फाइनल्स में कैसे जाएंगे. तो मेरे ख्याल से वो अगर आज से करेंगे, और इस मैच में बहुत ज़्यादा क्रूशियल है, क्योंकि ये ना हो कि उस मैच में जाएं और फिर डबल माइंडेड हो कि हम बैट करें बॉल करें और फिर पता चलेगी फिर वही जो अभी पहले स्टेज पे हुआ तो उनके साथ वैसा नहीं होना चाहिए. तो मैं मेक श्योर करें अपने प्लान की एग्जीक्यूशन अच्छी करें.
And you know, if we talk about momentum for South Africa in that last game against Nepal, you know, just losing that by 1 run, almost not making it in the end, I think that's also going to have its own impact coming into this one, right? Because you're starting your Super 8 with that mindset, you almost let that one go, and a lot for South Africa to answer to, you know, in terms of the label that has been attached to them, especially in World Cup tournaments.
A win's a win though, and I think if you can dig yourself out of a tricky situation, that actually should give you confidence and momentum to know that you can be bowled out for only 106 or whatever it was and still find a way to actually defend that. And the way that they have defended that is the fact that they have the most lethal, most potent bowling attack in the T20 World Cup so far. They have not managed to have a side score more than 120 against them. That's how good this bowling unit is. In fact, they only concede 5 runs and over as an economy as a whole on average. They've been going with the 4 nasty fasties, as we like to say, the big 4 quick fast bowlers, the majority of their games being in the USA. So as we shift over to the Caribbean, I wonder if that will have any impact on the way that they choose to formulate their bowling lineup. Let's have a little look at that exceptional bowling attack there as well, because 79.1 overs they've bowled, 30 wickets at an economy of 4.91, Marty, is absolutely exceptional. But given we're coming into more spin-friendly conditions in the Caribbean, do you think we'll see perhaps they'll play 2 spinners and drop down to 3 nasty fasties, as we like to say, Maharaj and Shamsi maybe both getting a go? And then who do you drop as well? Because they're all fantastic fast bowlers. What do you make of their arsenal as a bowling unit?
Yeah, they've had the best of the bowling conditions so far, haven't they? And they've been very lucky to get that draw and, play 3 games in New York and then one on a raging spinner in St. Vincent. They've had a pretty good run at it, but on some hopefully better pitches now, it's going to be interesting. I think they could go with 2 spinners on these wickets here. I think, and unfortunately, the one to miss out, who I sort of am thinking would be Kagisa Rabada, which is a wild call. He's the leader of the attack, but he's probably been the least effective on these wickets. I think if you look at Nokia, he's been exceptional, bowling fast, bowling almost unplayable deliveries. Otniel Bartman's been really impressive as well, and then throw on Marco Jansen as the difference. He's tall, he's left arm, and he also gives you that batting option at number 7. So unfortunately, it could be Rabada that misses out, and you put Maharaj at 8, and you have the Shamsi and Otniel Bartman and Nokia down the bottom there, 9, 10, 11. So,
which is testament to how well Bartman has bowled, because he's very new on the international scene. Only played his 3rd ever international match for South Africa in this first game of the World Cup for the Proteas. He has been exceptional, the way that he's exploited the conditions. He's adapted so well considering he's so new to international cricket. The fact that he could force Kagisa Rabada out of the side.
Yeah, it's pretty wild, isn't it? But that's just how well he's bowling. He's been so effective so far, and he's got the change-ups to go with his seam-up deliveries as well. So, I could be completely wrong. It may not go that way, but that's the way I sort of foresee things happening if they go with the 2 spinners. They could stick with the 4 fast bowlers, have either Shamsi or Maharaj there, and use Aiden Markram for some overs of spin as well.
Whatever he's saying, we cannot say it wrong to him, because he has that
he's
Oracle hat on him always. To me, I think it will be a really tough call not to go with Rabada.
Yeah.
So I know it must be a head scratcher for the management, but if I would be in their shoes, then I will definitely go with Rabada.
Yeah.
And I think one of the person who should miss out should be Bartman. I know on the condition provided, he had done a fantastic job for South Africa, but having Rabada, Nokia and Jansen basically give you the right combination, and also the threat to the opposition also, that they have to face some of the best in the world.
Yeah.
And then Shamsi and Maharaj should play, I believe.
Experience speaks volumes in this format of the game, and also T20 World Cups.
Yeah. We've talked about South Africa's bowling, and it looks pretty well rounded. The spinners will come into play a lot in these conditions. They will come in handy. Shamsi, Maharaj, we know what they can do, and they have done it over and over again in this World Cup. They've defended those low scores. As Erin also mentioned, that time and time again they have showed that they can defend those low scores. But Hafiz, where South Africa are lacking right now, I mean, their bowling is answering all the questions for them, but their batters have been underperforming, especially their top order. Collectively as a top order, यानी कि या तो हो ना कि पहला नंबर का बैटर जो है अगर फेल हो रहे हैं तो नंबर 3 पे जो भी आ रहा है 1 डाउन वो मोमेंटम बना लें, कैरी कर लें. उनके टॉप ऑर्डर की मुसलसल कंसिस्टेंट एक फेलियर चल रहा है. कलेक्टिवली दे आर ऑल स्ट्राइकिंग लोअर देन 100. अगर हम पूरे वर्ल्ड कप की टीम्स में देखें, जितने भी टॉप ऑर्डर्स हैं, साउथ अफ्रीका का बॉटम 2 पे आता है नाम in terms of the strike rate, which is just above Bangladesh. They are with 81.64. That's the strike rate at which their top order, top 3 are batting. अगर आप USA का strike rate देखें, top 3 का 113 for them. And of course Afghanistan, we all know there how critical their top order has been. How can South Africa climb out of this? Because the bowlers cannot defend those low scores in every game. That's a lot of pressure.
फिर से ये स्टैट का इल्यूजन है.
Illusion है?
जी मैं आपको बता रहा हूँ, ये वो झटका है जो स्टैटिस्टिशियंस आपको दिखाते हैं.
और आपको अंडर प्रेशर करते हैं.
4 मैचेस जो इन्होंने खेले वो ऐसी पिचेस पे खेले, वहाँ पे 120 वाज अ पार रन्स. वहाँ पे दुनिया का बेस्ट प्लेयर विराट कोहली भी खेला, कुछ नहीं कर सका. बाबर आजम खेला, वो नहीं कुछ कर सका. तो दुनिया के जितने प्लेयर थे वो वहाँ पे स्ट्रगल करते नजर आए. तो इनके 3 मैच जो न्यूयॉर्क में हुए वो 120 वाले पिच थे. वो ये कोई सुपर हीरो तो है नहीं, है तो इंसान ही. उसके बाद ये गए सेंट विंसेंट, वहाँ जाकर उससे भी बुरी कंडीशन मिल गई. वहाँ पे 106 नहीं था हो पा रहा. तो तो आप ये समझें कि ये जो स्टैट्स हैं ये आपको जो नज़र आ रहे हैं ये उन मुश्किल पिचेस के ऊपर नज़र आ रहे हैं।
ये सिर्फ इन्फॉर्मेशन आप कह
ये एक
सकते हैं।
इन्फॉर्मेशन है,
ठीक है।
लेकिन आप इसे इस तरह देखें तो फिर तो यूएस ने 2 मैच डैलस में खेले क्योंकि डैलस की पिच थोड़ी बेहतर थी।
वही है ना,
न्यूयॉर्क की
यूएस
नहीं
के
थी।
इसलिए बेहतर स्ट्राइक
मैं
रेट
इसलिए कह रहा हूँ कि ये स्टैट
conditions।
इल्यूजन है, इससे थोड़ा सा बाहर आ जाए, थोड़ा सा आपको दिमाग से बाहर लेके आता हूँ।
ठीक है।
और कहना ये चाहता हूँ कि साउथ अफ्रीका की जो टीम है वो वेट कर रही है एक अच्छे बैटिंग ट्रैक का। उनकी बैटिंग के अंदर आपको कोई कमी, मुझे तो कमी नज़र नहीं आती। रीजा हेंड्रिक्स की बात करूँ तो ही इज़ अ क्वालिटी टॉप ऑर्डर बैट्समैन,
बिल्कुल ऐसे ही।
और मैं सबसे ज़्यादा मिस कर रहा हूँ इस टूर्नामेंट में एडम आक्रम की इनिंग्स को, क्योंकि वो एक ऐसा शानदार प्लेयर है जो बड़ी शॉट खेलते वक्त अपनी शेप लूज नहीं करता।
Yeah.
वो जो एक राइट टेक्निक है ना खेलने की, वो आपको एडम आक्रम में नज़र आती है। अब उसका लाइक मैं इसमें से गुजरा हूँ, यूनस भाई गुजरे में, हम सब एज ए बैट्समैन, कि जब आपको कंडीशन बहुत मुश्किल मिल रही होती है ना, तो आप उसमें से कोशिश तो कर रहे होते हैं, लेकिन नहीं अगर हो पाता तो यू ऑलवेज वेट फॉर द राइट कंडीशन कि हम जब हमें वो मिलेगी तो हम अपने, ये नहीं कि स्किल कहीं दूर चले गए। सो आई एम लुकिंग फॉरवर्ड टू सी एडम आक्रम ऑन दीज ट्रैक्स, क्योंकि वो एक शानदार प्लेयर है। डीकॉक और मिलर और क्लासन की हमने पहले पावर होने, उनके फायर पावर की हमने बात कर ली, लेकिन माकरम जैसा प्लेयर इंतजार कर रहा है कि वो इसको मिले। और ये जो जितने स्टैट्स हैं ना, ये सब बदलते नजर आएंगे, क्योंकि जब पिचेस अच्छे मिलेंगी, कंडीशन मिलेंगी, तो वहाँ पे ये वाले बैट्समैनों का जो स्ट्राइक रेट आपने 81 और यूएस वाला 113 दिखाया है, ये आपको डिफरेंट सिचुएशन में
पर
ले
आप
आएगा।
अभी कह रहे थे कि इतना चेंज नहीं होगा।
नहीं, देखें वो न्यूयॉर्क की
Runs
पिचेस और यहाँ की पिचेस में, जब आप यहाँ पे एंटीगा और सेंट लुसिया खेलेंगे तो वो आपको बेहतर पिचेस उनसे ज़्यादा बेहतर मिलेंगी। यहाँ पे 160 170 यू कैन टारगेट फॉर दैट, बट इन न्यूयॉर्क, इन सेंट विंसेंट,
They have been a bit unfortunate as far as the conditions
देखिए,
go.
condition थी ना।
एक मैं इस पे
अगर स्टैट्स पे रहेंगे तो साउथ अफ्रीका हार रही है।
चले आपकी प्रेडिक्शन फिर आज है, कोई अच्छे
South
स्कोर
Africa-
मिलेंगे
South
टॉप
Africa-
टॉप 3 की अगर हम बात करें।
हाँ करेगा, आई बिलीव। अगर कंडीशन अच्छी हुई तो आप एडम मार्करम के पटाखे देखिए।
देखो रोहन, मेरा
We'll do
क्वेश्चन ये
some-
बनता है, मेरा क्वेश्चन ये बनता है कि देखें ये सारे तो टॉप के प्लेयर्स हैं, तो फिर ये जैसे न्यूयॉर्क में कंडीशन थी तो रन्स क्यों नहीं परफॉर्म किया वहाँ पे? करना चाहिए था। क्विंटन डिकॉक की बात कर लें, टॉप की क्रिकेट खेलते हैं, टेस्ट क्रिकेट खेले हुए हैं। उसके बाद एडम मार्कर की खास तौर पे बात कर लें तो क्यों नहीं परफॉर्म किया उन्होंने वहाँ? उसकी वजह क्या है? उसकी वजह ये होती है जब आप ये फॉर्मेट खेल रहे हैं और जब आप उस
हाई रिस्क गेम खेल,
हाँ, और फिर क्योंकि आप कुछ भी कर लें, क्योंकि आपने अपने जहन को, अपनी बॉडी को, अपनी टैक्टिक्स को अकॉर्डिंगली आपने एनहांस की हो, सेटल की होती है कि मैं 6 ओवर में जाऊंगा, मैं ये जैसा हम बात करते हैं यार रोक के खेल लो, बाद में हो जाएंगे, ऐसा नहीं हो सकता। अब विराट कोहली को क्या ज़रूरत है कि जब साथ में रोहित शर्मा खेल लें और वो जाके एग्रेसिव खेल लें? क्योंकि देखिए जो हम बार बात करके डिमांड ये है सिचुएशन की कि आप सर्कल में हो, पावर प्ले में हो, तो यू हैव टू प्ले लाइक यू इन द पावर प्ले। और फिर जब मिडल में हो तो अब ये नहीं हो सकता कि आप हर ओवर में 15 रन बनाएं, तो 7 से लेकर 15 तक आपने रनर बॉल से थोड़ा सा ज़्यादा खेलना है और 8-9 रन लेने ताकि कहीं जाके 160 170 या 200 हो जाए। तो ये एक वो आपके जहन में एक अडॉप्टेशन होती है, एक टैक्टिस होते हैं, एक प्लान होता है जो कि आपको एग्जीक्यूशन करना है। नहीं तो अगर क्विंटन डिकॉक, मैं हफीज़ भाई से पूछता हूँ कि अगर वो खेल ले 20 ओवर तो कितने रन करेंगे? 100 ही करेंगे, लेकिन नहीं, क्योंकि उनको 6 का पहले पावर प्ले खेलना है, तो उसके हिसाब से आपको अपने शॉट की एग्जीक्यूशन, उसमें भी आप आउट भी हो जाते हो। लेकिन वही बात करते हैं कि टीम के लिए आपको इस तरह खेलना है बस।
And just on that as well, yes, the majority of South Africa's games have been played on the New York pitches, similar to India. Who would have thought that Virat Kohli would only have scored 5 runs in the group stages of this competition? His strike rate would be far worse than 80, but the potential and what we're used to seeing from him, class is permanent, and no doubt he'll come good when he gets to the Caribbean. So context required, I think, with some of these statistics.
And it's about sometimes your role as well. Who will be thought that Rohit Sharma and Virat Kohli playing and Virat will be more aggressive? Why is that? He should play 20 overs. If Virat Kohli plays 20 overs, he can score easily 100 for their team. But that is the role given by the team, by the management, and the expectation is like that. So
He's the aggressor of the
sometimes
two.
you have to be adopt, accordingly.
Right, conditions will matter a lot, especially in today's game, as Professor has also said. Expect some fireworks. We're due some fireworks, aren't we? I mean, it's about time. We're in the Caribbean, so I hope another not another low-scoring thriller once again today. Can't wait to see what these two teams put up today. एक छोटी सी break यहाँ पे on Vantage Developers presents Game On है. When we come back, we continue the build-up to Antigua. Don't go anywhere.
An absolute pleasure to welcome you back to Vantage Developers Presents Game on Hai. Of course, your one-stop shop here in Pakistan for all of the action, the glitz, the excitement, the atmosphere of the T20 ICC Men's World Cup being contested all the way over in the Caribbean and the US of A. And we've got all of the live updates for you, and of course, the match coming in just a few minutes. It's all very exciting over in Antigua today because it's the first match of the Super 8s. And well, it was the US of A who blasted their way into that Super 8 at the expense of Pakistan, unfortunately, which means that they take on the Proteas today in Antigua. Here they are warming up there. Who would have thought the underdog story of the competition, the surprise packet of this edition of the World Cup, they are the ones that have made their way into the Super 8 against all of the odds, Marty. And you know, one of the most impressive things about USA has been the fact that they've been so strong for the middle overs. We talk about how important, particularly in those American wickets, it was to keep consistent run rate, to keep pushing throughout those middle overs and really asking questions of the bowlers. And we've got a little graphic here which actually shows that Team USA have been the second strongest side, the second best run rate out of all remaining teams. They're scoring at 9.7 in the middle overs. How impressive is that and how important is that in T20 cricket?
Yeah, I think that's pretty key to the fact that they've actually had partnership, a big partnership through that middle phase, and especially each of those first two games against Pakistan and Canada, they had two guys in and were able to do that. If you keep losing wickets through that middle period, it's impossible to do that because you'll just keep losing them. So, you know, it was Aaron Jones and somebody else in that first game. I can't quite remember who. Oh, Andreas House. They were unbelievable. They got a partnership going early, and then they just kept the pressure on, and they actually were able to play those expansive shots and those innovative shots to take pressure off the run rate and really put the pressure back onto the Canadian bowlers. And they did again against Pakistan. You know, they got themselves into a position to be able to force a super over, and they did it really well. And you know, take out that game against India on that New York wicket, and it's probably over 10 that run rate in the middle there.
And what's impressive too is, unlike so many of the openers who failed in those American wickets, Aaron Jones has stuck through the new ball. He's had an opportunity to get his eye in to then punish those middle overs, and perhaps that's why they've been so much more successful. Yeah,
it's been pretty impressive the way they've done it. I mean, I think he's coming at number 5 or so, hasn't he, through those, and they've been able to 4 or 5 or something, and they've been able to build partnerships, and that's the best thing about batting and batsmanship is they've been able to do that. They've built small partnerships, but then they've turned those small partnerships into big ones. It was around 100 and something, wasn't it? Andreas House and Jones in that first game against Canada really took the game away from them and set up what was an emphatic win. And they've done it so almost easily as well. It's been through proper cricket shots to start with, and then they've gone, okay, we can start going a little bit harder. A few reverse sweeps, a few scoops, and then the big shots out of the ground as well. So it's been really impressive to watch, and you know, hopefully they can do it again against South Africa today.
So confident.
Talking about, you know, teams batting and how strong USA are in those middle overs, Yunus, how can South Africa tackle that? Because with their bowling, we're still unsure what combination they're going to go with today. 4 fast bowlers or maybe an extra spinner that we saw last game में भी उन्होंने regret किया था बाद में कि हमने महाराज को नहीं खिलाया, and we instead went with just 1 spinner. So how are they going to tackle this problem? Because USA are strong in the power play, they're strong in the middle overs, and bowlers really need to have an answer for everything.
बिल्कुल, अगर मैं यूएस की टीम की बात करूं तो उन्होंने एक इम्पैक्ट डाला. उन्होंने जैसे पहला मैच खेला, फिर दूसरा मैच खेला, और ख़ास तौर पे उन्होंने एग्जैक्टली ये किया कि वो जो पॉइंट्स उनके पास आ जाएं और वो उनको जो वो चाहते थे कि हम फ़ौरन ही इस पूल में आगे जाएं, उन्होंने एग्जैक्टली वो किया. लेकिन इसमें एक पॉइंट ये भी है कि अगर यूएस के बैटर्स की बात करें, बॉलर्स की बात करें, उनकी टीम की बात करें, तो अभी तक इतनी इन्फॉर्मेशन नहीं होगी. ठीक है, उससे पहले अगेंस्ट बांग्लादेश वो खेले, लेकिन ये कि अब उनके खिलाफ अब टफ क्रिकेट जो है उनकी अब स्टार्ट होनी है. अब प्लान्स आएंगे, अब क्वालिटी ऑफ बॉलर्स भी आएंगे, टीमों की जो प्रेशर होगा वो भी आएगा, और फिर जो आपका सुपर 8 है उसमें भी जब आप आए हो तो उसका भी एक प्रेशर होगा. लेकिन मैंने उनकी क्रिकेट ये देखी कि ऑल अबाउट बॉडी लैंग्वेज है, और जिस तरह वो उन्होंने एग्जीक्यूशन किया बड़ा सिंपल किया कि उन्होंने ऑन द डे अपने जाके जो बैटिंग की, बॉलिंग की, फील्डिंग की, उन्होंने उसमें एक बॉडी लैंग्वेज रखी, और जो टेक्निक की बात कर रहे हैं, टैक्टिक्स की बात कर रहे हैं, वो सब वहाँ पे मौजूद था. और अब उनको अब उन पे प्रेशर आएगा, तो अब देखते हैं वो कैसा उससे हैंडल करते हैं. और उनके लिए जैसे टीम साउथ अफ्रीका की बात करूँ, उनकी स्ट्रेंथ हमने देखी है कि वो बॉलिंग में बहुत ज़्यादा कंपोज हैं, उनके फास्ट बॉलर मौजूद हैं, उनके पास जो 2 स्पिनर्स हैं वो बहुत क्वालिटी की स्पिनर्स हैं, उन्होंने बारहा परफॉर्मेंस किया हुआ है। तो मेरे ख्याल से उनको अब जो अगर साउथ अफ्रीका के साथ और जो बाकी उनके ग्रुप में जो जितनी भी उन्होंने टीमों के साथ कम्पीट करना है, अब उनको और अपना एनहांस करना पड़ेगा। उनके पास स्किल्स मौजूद हैं, अब वो प्रेशर आएगा तो अब देखते हैं प्रेशर में कैसे उसको डील करते हैं।
ये हफीज कितना इंपॉर्टेंट है क्योंकि एक टीम ऑन स्ट्रेच अपने मुसलसल मैचेस अपने होम ग्राउंड में खेली हैं। ऑफ कोर्स नॉट जस्ट फ्रॉम द स्टार्ट ऑफ द वर्ल्ड कप बट इवन बिफोर दैट दे हैव प्लेड 12 back-to-back games in their home conditions. As Yunus was saying, now it's the time where they really need to be tested in terms of conditions. क्या expect कर सकते हैं, क्या planning होगी USA के पास, क्योंकि obviously they are not very experienced when it comes to international matches, pressure and conditions.
जी श्योरली बहुत बड़ा चैलेंज है ऐसी टीम के लिए कि जो ग्रुप स्टेज में अपनी होम कंडीशन में खेली, बहुत अच्छा परफॉर्म किया। इसमें होम कंडीशन को अगर हम साइड पे भी ले जाएं तो उन्होंने अच्छी क्रिकेट खेली, लेकिन क्योंकि ये अनफेमिलियर कंडीशन है उनके लिए, उनके मोस्टली प्लेयरों ने शायद इस कैरेबियन में इतने ज़्यादा मैचेस ना खेले हों, तो ये बाहर निकल के बड़ा परफॉर्म करना, ये बड़ी टीम के साथ जो है ना वो टैगिंग की जाती है। तो मुझे लगता है कि बहुत बड़ा चैलेंज है, बहुत बड़ी स्टेज है यूएस के लिए। पहली स्टेज तक तो दे वर द मोस्ट डिजर्विंग एट दैट टाइम। अभी इन्होंने अपनी एबिलिटीज़ को स्टैम्प करना है कि क्या हम एक कंडीशनल टीम है या हमारा वो जिसको सम टाइम अनफॉर्चुनेटली ये कहा जाता है सक्सेस को देख के लोग उसको फ्लूक समझते हैं, तो अब वो उसको उन्होंने स्टैम्प करना है कि इट वाजंट अ फ्लूक, वी डिजर्व टू बी हियर बाय विनिंग 1 or 2 गेम्स। मैं ये नहीं कह रहा कि ये सेमीफाइनल में जाएंगे, लेकिन अगर ये 1 से 2 मैच भी जीतते हैं यहाँ पे और एक चैलेंज करते हैं तो इट मीन्स कि इनकी राइट प्रोग्रेस या इनकी राइट प्रिपरेशन हुई हुई है, माइंड सेट ठीक है। लेकिन अगर ये यहाँ पे आके नहीं भी जीते तो भी इनकी बहुत बड़ी लर्निंग होगी, क्योंकि मेरे लिए यूएस क्रिकेट का पहली स्टेज से बाहर आना, आगे जाना, ये समथिंग स्पेशल है जो उनको बहुत प्रमोशन मिलेगी, क्रिकेट को प्रमोशन मिलेगी, इन प्लेयर्स के लिए प्रोफेशनल वे में ट्रीटमेंट स्टार्ट हो जाएगी। वहाँ का क्रिकेट बोर्ड इनको प्रोफेशनली डील करना शुरू करेगा, अपॉर्चुनिटीज़ क्रिएट करेगा, और बहुत सी जगहों पे इनके पैरेलल ऑप्शन जो इंटरनेशनल लीग्स हैं वो इनको अपने साथ इंगेज करेंगी। लेकिन इस स्टेज के ऊपर अगर ये एज ए टीम बहुत अच्छा करते हैं, आई वुड बी वेरी सरप्राइज टू बी वेरी ऑनेस्ट, क्योंकि मुझे नहीं लगता कि ये वर्ल्ड बीटर है। ये एक अच्छा इनका फ्लो चला, इन्होंने पहली स्टेज अच्छी गुजारी। इस स्टेज के ऊपर इंग्लैंड को, वेस्ट इंडीज़ को और साउथ अफ्रीका को चैलेंज करना, आई थिंक वी आर आस्किंग टू मच फ्रॉम देम।
We are, and we'll see how they answer that, because you know, as we have discussed in the build-up as well, Erin, both these teams have a lot to fight for in this Super 8. We saw South Africa time and again they make it to that semi-final final spot, and then unfortunately they cannot go past that. And with USA, they'll be looking to shed off that baggage, as Hafiz was saying, that you know they're not world beaters yet, and you're asking too much of them if you're playing them up against England, South Africa and these teams. So a lot for both the teams to answer for, but let's continue our build-up, and of course our pre-show or post-show isn't complete without giving away some fabulous prizes like every day. Another chance for you to win a cheesiest family deal. अगर आपने अभी तक नहीं जीती cheesiest family deal, हम रोज इतने आसान सवाल कर रहे हैं, इससे आसान हम कर नहीं सकते हैं। प्लीज आज भी अपने सवालों के जवाब हमें भेजें इस फोन नंबर पे, और क्वेश्चन आपकी स्क्रीन पे आज का बहुत आसान। Once again, which player has taken the most catches as a fielder in T20I cricket? If you know the answer to that very simple question, just dial on that number on your screen and you will be able to win a cheesiest family deal. Who isn't hungry now?
I'm starving now
All
you
that
said
cricket without snacks.
You've got to have snacks watching the cricket, and no better than cheesiest. So get your answer in for that one. But that's not all. We have a massive prize up next. You could win yourself a plot thanks to Blue World City in the Shoribacta Enclave.
Whoa.
How good. And this question is so fitting, Roha, because it's all about the bowling today. And the question is simply, who holds the record for the most hat-tricks in Pakistan cricket? You could win that plot. What a prize that is, by simply going to the Facebook page and answer in the comment section on the Blue World City Islamabad page. My goodness, what a prize that one would be. Most hat-tricks in Pakistan cricket. Get your thinking caps on, as we're going to get our thinking caps on now with our
Any
expert
hints?
panel.
They're thinking of the answer themselves.
What do you think?
I know the answer to the first question. I'm not sure about who's got the most
So
hat
you've
tricks.
got the cheesiest family deal
Oh,
sorted,
yeah, that's
but,
mine. That's
but
mine, yeah.
the plot?
I
Any
think,
ideas?
I think it's
He's a
quick
spinner or he's a fast bowler?
because obviously
Fast bowler.
I saw Yunus doing a little bit of this, but
I do this both with both hands.
okay.
So maybe he's a fast bowler, maybe he's a spinner, maybe he's this. So that is the hints from me.
That's a
There
lot
we
of
go. That's a big hit. That's a big hit. We're building up to the toss, though. It looks like it's good weather in Antigua, which is very exciting, which means we are 5 minutes away from the scheduled toss. So it's now time to ask our expert predictions on, what they think the captains will do and how important this particular toss is.
Yeah.
Gentlemen, it is a day game in Antigua. We know this. We know that this has been one of the better batting tracks going around as well in terms of the World Cup so far today. We know USA are up against it in terms of the might of the Proteas. Yunus Khan, if you're the captain, what are you doing today?
If I'm a captain of US, I can bat first.
Bat first?
Yeah.
Score more
Because
pressure.
more pressure on the opponent, and I know that South African batter, they are a little bit struggle. So I think for me, I have more freedom to play my accordingly. So I think for me, if I'm a US captain, I will be elected to bat first.
Does Captain Hafiz agree with that?
I haven't seen the pitch, so I cannot make any decision, to be honest.
But I read that there was a little bit of an overcast in the morning, but there's no rain expected.
But the overcast doesn't make any difference to
Yeah.
make a decision on the toss, because it has to be done after watching the pitch.
Watching the
so
pitch.
look at the pitch first, and if there's anything for the bowlers, I think then you can go for a bowl first. But if there's nothing, if it's an absolute belter, go for a bat first.
Marty, if there's any insecurities on your part with a new condition that you're not familiar with, so for USA, we know that they've played their last 12 matches in home conditions. What do you prefer to do, particularly as an opening bat?
For me, it doesn't matter. I mean, as an opening batter, you've got to face a ball at some point, so why not go out there first? But I think you look at the stats and what's happened in the previous games there. You look at, and you also, as a captain, you walk over the pitch and you spike. See if it's a little bit sticky, and if it is, you probably look to bowl first. But look, at the end of the day, it's not going to change too much over the course of 3 hours. So I think whatever happens. You should do either. I think you'd be happy with a lost toss and you don't have to make the decision.
That's as simple as that.
Yeah, exactly.
And we do know that it's not really making a wealth of difference, Rohal,
So
when
far,
it
yeah.
comes to this ICC T20 World Cup. Teams are always choosing to bowl first, but they're not necessarily winning that many more games. So
I think
it's
South
interesting.
Africa would like to bowl first.
Bowl first, yeah.
Because if there's anything in the pitch, their bowlers already exploited very well. So I think if I would be the South African captain, I would go and go for a bowling if I won the toss. Because
I
I
hope
know
your
I have a
batters make do today
but
with the
you know,
conditions.
if the track is really tricky, then I will bat first. Because if it's a tricky one, it will get more difficult later on. But if if there's a small kind of assistance which can offer a little bit of lateral movement early on, why not to go and bowl first?
Right, we're still waiting for that pitch report to come in, but that will help us, of course, understand what mindset the captains might be in today. But thankfully, we're getting a game. We've come out of those back-to-back washed out games, Erin. What bummers. I mean, we were
so
waiting for those games to
depressing.
go on, and thankfully now we're in sunny Antigua.
Yeah.
And let's hope it stays sunny because, of course, the home crowd, the crowd will also be coming in to support both these teams. USA, of course, coming out of those home conditions. Will be interesting to see what support they get from the crowd.
Well, I mean, they always say that the Caribbean is the biggest party in sport, and
Yeah.
you could hear even in that last match as well when Trent Bolt was trying to do his last ever interview with your wife, Marty,
Yeah.
on the end of his career of playing for the Black Caps in a T20 World Cup, and he could barely hear what she was saying because the drums were so crazy in the background. The vibes were high, the Caribbean was partying, and that was a match where the West Indies weren't playing. So just imagine the vibe of when the West Indies are going to be playing as well. That home crowd advantage is going to come to
they've
the fore.
always been such great hosts, West Indies. I was talking to our colleague, one of the best statisticians in cricket right now, Mazhar Arshad, who's back in Caribbean right now, and he was telling me that the restaurant owners over there, they started preparing halal food because he was anticipating a lot of the Pakistan fans who will come to the Caribbean and then have a meal at their restaurants after the game. So he
I'm
talked
sad for
he
them.
talked to one of the restaurant owners and they said, we don't have any halal food right now, but we're preparing it all for when the Pakistan fans come. So a bit sad that that's not going to happen.
ये तो खैर होता है कि उस पे आप वो कहते हैं ना कि चलें हमारे नसीब में नहीं था, लेकिन ये कि ये आप लर्निंग करें इससे, और जो भी आपके सामने होता है उससे लर्न करें, मूव फॉरवर्ड करें. मूव फॉरवर्ड कैसे होना है ये अब आप पे डिपेंड करता है.
Whoa.
Looks like we are almost ready for the toss in
Almost.
Antigua as well, which is very, very exciting. Apparently, Danny Morrison, our favourite uncle Danny Morrison, we know him so well from the PSL. He is standing by to do the toss. He'll have the two captains alongside him. Rohab, very quick prediction. Who's winning the toss today?
Oh,
Go on.
putting me on the spot,
Yes.
Erin. I think USA. Let's see if their luck continues, you know,
USA.
outside of the home conditions.
USA and bat first. Well, the one thing is for sure is that USA, this is a real opportunity to stamp their claim on the international stage once again. No one ever thought that the plucky underdogs from the US of A, even though they're home nations, it has to be said, the fact that they are here, they've made it to the Super 8s at the expense of Pakistan, which is, you know, devastating. But, you know, the fairy tale could continue here today. You just feel like you're not sure what you're going to get with them, particularly because they're so fantastic with the bat. But looks like it's toss time. Uncle Danny Morrison, take it away.
Gee, the news from Antigua is that USA have won the toss and they're gonna bowl first.
bowling
Thank
first.
you, Danny Morrison, for that toss in style as always. Looking
It's
at
gonna move
USA,
around a bit, isn't it?
let's expect that. But Marty, any surprises there? We saw Markham say, you know, he's not too bothered with how the toss goes.
Yeah, not really. To be honest, I thought there could be a bowl first, whoever won the toss, and you know, there we go. USA did it, win the toss, and you know, as I said, it could be a good win to lose, and you know, Markham was happy as well. So win-win.
And at South Africa, they went with that extra spinner, as we did anticipate. And Hafiz, you called it right. It was Bartman that misses out, and Kagiso Rabada, with all of that international experience, survives the playing 11.
I think it's a right decision because you want your main players to perform in these situations, in these matches which obviously ask a lot of questions from you. So I think as an experienced bowler, I think Rabada can offer rightly for the South Africa. He can bowl with the new ball, he can bowl at the death also. So I think it's a right call, and then bringing a one spinner into the team will add a lot of value. Shamsi or Maharaj, whoever may, you know, the both can damage the opposition batting lineup. So I personally feel they made a right decision to have two spinners and three fast bowlers. But let's see how they operate, because it wasn't convincing way of saying it doesn't matter to win a toss or lose a toss from Adam Markham, because he was a bit confused on it. But I still believe, I think it's good for South Africa to bat first, just see the ball in the first 4-5 overs, how it operates, keep your shape up and play the best possible way. And then I think if they manage to get those first 6 overs well without losing too many wickets, they can damage any bowling attack in the middle over, because we know the power hitting they have.
Right, we'll take a look at both the playing 11s in just a bit as well. But Yunus, as expected, हमने बात की extra spinner के साथ जा रहे हैं South Africa. लेकिन दूसरी तरफ Monang Patel once again missing in action, unfortunately for USA. कितना उनके लिए ये अब critical होगा ये, क्योंकि अब obviously you need your captain, you need that leadership, especially when you're not in familiar conditions and taking on such a big opponent.
और बिल्कुल इसलिए भी क्योंकि आपकी फॉर्म अच्छी है, आपने एक अच्छा मैचेस अच्छे खेले हुए हैं और आपकी लीडरशिप में टीम यूएस ने अच्छा किया हुआ है, तो मिस करेंगे. लेकिन देखिए, इंटरनेशनल क्रिकेट यही है कि आपको जो गिवन आपके पास जो रिसोर्सेज हैं उसको आप इन्हें यूटिलाइज़ करना है. मेरे ख्याल से ये आज जो टॉस साउथ अफ्रीका हारा है, ये उनके लिए अच्छा है. जो हम पहले बात कर रहे थे कि उनकी बैटिंग अंडर प्रेशर है, तो आप जाएँ और जाके अपने जो इनकी शॉट की एग्जीक्यूशन है, जो प्लानिंग है, जो स्ट्रेटजी है, वहाँ जाएँ और बड़ा सिंपल करें अपने लिए. थोड़ा सा उनके बैटर्स को अपने आप को थोड़ा टाइम देना पड़ेगा, क्योंकि मॉर्निंग का गेम है और हमें पता है कि वेस्ट इंडीज़ में जो पिचेस होती हैं थोड़ा बहुत मॉइस्चर होता है. अगर वो वहाँ से निकलते हैं और वो एक अच्छा प्लेटफॉर्म देते हैं अपने टॉप के बैटर्स को, ख़ास तौर पे मिडल ऑर्डर में कल्सन को और उसके बाद डेविड मिलर को, तो मेरे ख्याल से ये बड़ा अच्छा होगा कि वो एक अच्छा रन पोस्ट कर सकते हैं. और आज जो एक प्रेशर होगा वो यूएस पे ज़रूर होगा जब वो चेस करेंगे. आई होप कि वो अच्छा करें, और क्योंकि ये क्रिकेट के लिए बहुत अच्छा है, यूएस क्रिकेट के लिए बहुत अच्छा है. और हम खास तौर पे जो एसोसिएट नेशंस की बात कर रहे हैं, जब वो इस तरह के कम्पीट करती हैं टॉप के नेशंस के खिलाफ, तो बहुत अच्छा लगता है और गेम की जो इम्प्रूवमेंट है वो नज़र आती है वहाँ पे.
Right, a lot to expect from this contest. We'll take a look at the playing 11s if they are ready. But for now, okay, we're getting with just a little bit longer till we take a look at those playing 11s. But again, let's talk about the crowd. Do you think we will get a full house today, something close to it? Because of course it's a beautiful day for a beautiful game of cricket. Before we take a look at the playing 11s, the pitch report is ready as well. So let's take a look at what to expect from the conditions in Antigua. We read that there was a little bit of a cloud cover, but I think that has gone away now. Beautiful sunny day. Let's see what the pitch report says.
Sean Pollack and Waqar Younis there bringing us the pitch report from Antigua. They didn't think that it looked like a high-scoring ground for Oha. A little bit debris on there, Waqar said, which would assist the fast bowlers. Pitch it up short, he said, and they thought there'd be a little bit in it for the spinners as well. But one positive, Marty, a wind-assisted short boundary square. What did you make of what you just saw then on that pitch report?
Yeah, it looked dry to me, so spin could come into play later on, as Markram alluded to at the toss. It's you know, the graphic they showed in where the wickets were in the power play, it looked to me like teams were using that shorter ball to hit them, get teams hitting against the wind and try and get wickets that way, and it seems to be working. So we could see more of that today.
The Professor, if you wouldn't mind taking us through the South African lineup. We know that USA have sent them in to bat first, and one change for them.
As a team, I think they went with the same playing 11 when it comes to batting is concerned. So top 7 are the same, which will give them a lot of confidence, because when you play together you obviously understand each other very well. So it's a good thing that they're giving more regular chances to their batsmen. I would like to see him doing well today because he's a captain. I want him to do well and he's a quality player. And as a spinner, I think Maharaj will add a lot of value with Shamsi on this track later on, whatever runs they will post. These two along with Jensen, I think will operate the new ball well and also can challenge with the hard length. As we see Nokia have done that before. Rabada, we all know how good he could be. So I think overall it looks like a very right team to win this match.
And who's your MVP in the playing 11 today? On the spot. Markram, captain's knock.
I want him to do well, so I have to go.
A lot of pressure on Markram because
from me.
Professors.
My expectations are more towards my captain.
And you're on a roll today with your predictions.
You are.
But Mari Pari, let's see what USA are in for. A lot of pressures on their bowlers today.
Yeah, I'll start from the bowlers as they're bowling first. I mean, Netravalka, he's been amazing, hasn't he, through this World Cup with that left arm swing that he's getting. You know, Ali Khan has been equally as impressive. Jasdeep also has been impressive with the ball. Kenjiga with his left arm spin is going to be huge on this wicket this morning, and then obviously Harmeet with his left arm spin as well. You know, they'll be working well together through the middle overs. Don't be surprised if Corey Anderson gets a few overs through the middle, bowling his left arm seam with some off-pace deliveries as well, trying to get a little bit of purchase off the wicket as well. And then if we come to the batting, Taylor and Jahinga, you know, they'll be looking for them to get off to a great start later on. Andreas House, you know, he's been fantastic for them so far. Big player here in Jones, and then Nitish Kumar as well has played extremely well in this World Cup, and Corey Anderson to round out the top 6. My MVP today is my old mate Corey. He hasn't had much of an opportunity. Hopefully he gets a bit more today and can prove, you know, show what he has done for New Zealand and for the USA so far.
We're due an Anderson innings
anyway.
Absolutely. About time, you know, a lot of pressure, but Younis on both the captains now, because as Hafiz has also said कि Markram के ऊपर runs करने का भी pressure है. US के captain अब जो standing in captain Aaron Jones, उनके भी ऊपर बहुत pressure है with the bat. लेकिन यहाँ पे bowlers की अगर हम बात करें, what do you think would be a par total for them or a safe total that they can restrict South Africa at?
मेरे ख्याल से कोशिश करें, क्योंकि पिच को हमने कंडीशन देख ली है, फास्ट बॉलर्स के लिए वहाँ पे मौजूद है और उसके बाद फिर स्पिनर्स के लिए मौजूद है, तो मेरे ख्याल से ज़्यादा रन नहीं कराएं. अराउंड 140-150 के पास अगर वो उनको स्टिक कर देते हैं तो ये उनके लिए आसान है, क्योंकि फिर बाद में 2 स्पिनर्स भी मौजूद हैं. तो मेक श्योर करें कि ज़्यादा रन ना हो. अगर 160-170 के रन हो जाते हैं, हमें पता है कि ये पिचेस ठीक है, मॉर्निंग का गेम है, हो सकता है कि शुरू में मॉइस्चर भी हो, थोड़ा सा बॉल जो है बैट पे भी नहीं आए, लेकिन बाद में भी फिर वो मुश्किल हो जाती है. और जिस तरह स्पिनर्स, अगर आपको स्पिनर्स चेस करने हैं, और अगर मैं टीम यूएस की बात करूं तो उनकी स्ट्रेंथ भी मिडल में है, और मिडल में उनको 2 स्पिनर्स खेलने हैं और दोनों क्वालिटी स्पिनर्स हैं और उनकी वेरिएशन भी चेंज है. तो वो मेक श्योर करें कि अराउंड 140-150 से नीचे रखें, ताकि उनको जब चेस करना पड़े तो उनको आसानी हो.
And Hafizi, we saw in that pitch report as well, there is that short boundary square. It is wind assisted, knowing that it's probably a tricky deck. Is that something that you target particularly?
Well, I think that will be the plan for from the batting point of view. Like left and right combination can give you a lot of right options to go after against the middle over, and also one can target the left side, one can target to the right side. So I think that's where I believe they have privilege to have Miller in their side, De Kock on the top of the order. If they could continue along with some of the right-handed batsmen, I think they will have a very good chance to post 180 on this track.
Oh, well, it looks like we've got an interview from the camp of the Proteas as well. Let's find out exactly what they're thinking heading into the all-important Super 8s clash.
Gee, that was David Miller sharing his thoughts ahead of this game. वो यही कह रहे थे कि in the past जो कंडीशन साउथ अफ्रीका को मिली हैं वो बहुत फेवरेबल नहीं थी, थोड़ी कंफ्यूजिंग रही, थोड़ी इंटरेस्टिंग थी, बट दे आर वेटिंग टू सी कि साउथ अफ्रीका की टीम अब आगे कैसे प्रोसीड करती है, बिकॉज टूर्नामेंट अब शुरू हुआ है. दैट्स व्हाट मिलर वाज सेइंग. एंड ऑफ कोर्स ही वाज आल्सो टॉकिंग अबाउट हिज रोल कि अक्सर वो जब आते हैं तो बहुत ट्रिकी सिचुएशन में आते हैं और अपने रोल को फिर परफॉर्म करने की पूरी कोशिश करते हैं. हाउ क्रिटिकल Yunus is he going to be today, because the spirits are high, and in the South African camp you can sense that the true challenge begins today for them as they look at the Super 8s.
डेविड मिलर की अगर बात करें तो उनको ठीक है, वो एक टॉप के प्लेयर हैं, उनको वो कंडीशन जो जिस तरह के लिए वो अच्छा और ज़्यादा परफॉर्म कर वो अभी तक मिली नहीं. वो जब भी आए टीम अंडर प्रेशर रही है और उन्होंने एक सीनियर बैटर का रोल अदा किया. और मेरे ख्याल से आज उनको यही करना चाहिए, जैसे पहले भी हमने बात की, इनको कल्सन को उनको वो कहीं ऐसे प्लेटफॉर्म दें तो जब ये आए तो रन ऑन द बोर्ड हो, और फिर जो ये 10 ओवर एक साथ खेलें तो फिर जो शॉट्स की एग्जीबिशन होनी है ना वो हमने देखनी है. लेकिन उसके लिए मेक श्योर करें, क्योंकि ये बैटिंग कर रहे हैं तो इनको पहले जो 6 ओवर हैं वो स्मार्टली खेलें, और उसके बाद क्योंकि बाउंड्रीज़ भी एक तरफ छोटी हैं तो उसमें ये आराम से अगर खेलेंगे और थोड़ा सा प्लान से खेलें. ठीक है, फॉर्मेट तो T20 का है कि आपको बॉल 1 से ही आपको अटैक करना है, लेकिन थोड़ा स्मार्टली प्लान करें तो मेरे ख्याल से अगर रन ऑन द बोर्ड हो, क्योंकि पहले इनके पास अच्छे बॉलर्स हैं, स्पिनर्स मौजूद हैं, तो मेरे ख्याल से एक अच्छा एग्जीबिशन हो सकता है उनकी तरफ से.
Some very wise advice from the man that certainly knows how to win a T20 World Cup, Mr. Yunus Khan. It's almost time for our players to walk out for the all-important national anthems before ball 1 of the Super 8 start. There we go. Look at that. There is the trophy on its way out to the centre. What a spectacle that is. Who will be the winner? We will know in about 12 days.
A long wait it seems at this point, but what a beautiful trophy. And speaking of trophies, Hafiz, एक beautiful anniversary that Pakistani cricket fans would remember. It was the anniversary yesterday of the Champions Trophy win that Pakistan claimed in 2017. You were a part of that tournament, and that final played a brilliant knock of 57 runs, and Pakistan lifted that Champions Trophy. What a clinical win over India. And yesterday, we were seeing some of those flashbacks. How do you reflect on that, especially all these years on, how were those moments, अगर हम आपकी ज़ुबानी सुन सकें?
ये हमेशा बहुत अच्छा लगता है जब आप कोई ICC इवेंट जीते और उसका आप हिस्सा बने, परफॉर्म करें. तो मुझे लगता है कि इस पूरे टूर्नामेंट के लिए हमारी बहुत ही हार्डशिप थी टू गेट देयर. पहले तो हम लोग मुश्किल से वहाँ तक पहुँचे. जब हम वहाँ पहुँचे तो इंडिया से पहला मैच हारने के बाद बहुत ज़्यादा मुश्किलात आई. फिर एक ऑनेस्ट मीटिंग ने बहुत ज़्यादा हम लोगों को इकट्ठा किया, जिसमें हम सब ने अपनी ज़िम्मेदारियाँ खुद जो है वो मानी कि हम लोग ज़िम्मेदार हैं इसके. वहाँ पे फिर हम लोगों ने अपना एक न्यू जर्नी स्टार्ट की. साउथ अफ्रीका को जीता, श्रीलंका को जीता, फिर जो इंग्लैंड की टीम थी उसको सेमीफाइनल में हमने जीता. लेकिन जब हम इंडिया के ख़िलाफ़ खेलने गए थे तो हमारे दिलो दिमाग के किसी कोने में कोई खौफ नहीं था. हमें ये श्योर था कि हम ये मैच जीत रहे हैं. हमारी इतनी वो जो माइंडसेट था वो पॉजिटिव था. तो सब टीम ने जब खेला और फिर उसका जो रिज़ल्ट निकला वो कोई डिफरेंट इसलिए नहीं था कि वहाँ तक हमारी तमाम जो प्रोसेस था वो हमें टेस्ट कर चुका हुआ था. तो फाइनल में वो वर वेरी श्योर अबाउट इट दैट वी गोना विन द ट्रॉफी. और आई थिंक एक हमेशा से खुशी होती है कि आप कुछ ऐसा कारनामा करें जिसको सारी पाकिस्तान की आवाम या दुनिया याद रखे. तो आई एम वन ऑफ दोज कि हमने उसमें भी अपना थोड़ा सा हम्बल कैपेसिटी में हिस्सा डाला.
Iconic knock from an iconic player, and what a moment for Pakistan, what a moment for you, Professor. But just before we get to the live action, we of course can't let you go without announcing yesterday's winner mobile thanks to Park View daily competition. It's my absolute pleasure to announce that winner is...
Ooh. Drum roll!
Tayaba Yousafzai, congratulations, you have won yourself that mobile phone thanks to Parkview Winner Mobile. It's now my absolute pleasure to announce that today's question, so you could win yourself that mobile, is as follows. Who was the fastest bowler in the history of cricket, often clocking speeds at over 160 kilometres per hour? Who could it be? I'm going to give you a little bit of a hint. He's part of Game On Hair.
That's a big hint.
It's
there.
a big hint.
And that's a mighty hint. Okay, before we wrap up, of course, J Dot question of the day. Once again, we're giving you a chance to win that perfume by J Dot that we all really love in this show, and every day there's a new one. आज का सवाल है जी, who was the leading run scorer in the T20 World Cup 2022? अगर आपको इस सवाल का जवाब आता है, आपकी स्क्रीन पे फोन नंबर है, इस पे कॉल करें, and you might be able to win a perfume by J Dot Junaid Jamshed. Two very easy questions, Aaron, today. I think a lot of chances.
We're giving them away at the moment, that's for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Looks like live action is now happening. Teams are walking out for the national anthems. Thank you so much for joining us here on Vantage Developers Presents Game On Hair. We'll be back at the end of the game for all of the post-match analysis. We'll see you all after the match.